All right, hey everybody, welcome to the Coding Zoo. This is your first time joining. My name is Shane. This is the HTML building block series. In today's lesson, we're going to cover some more inputs for a form. We're going to cover the input types of date, time, local. We're going to cover also, where's my list? We're going to cover also time, and we're going to cover month. So date, time, local, time, and month. Some of these are new to HTML5. Hey, if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. As usual, we're going to jump right in. Hey, so let's get started. So on my desktop, I have my HTML page here. I went ahead and set up a form to save time. We have this field set. The first field set is for my date. The second one's for my date time. The next one's for my month. The next one's for my time. Now I've added this span as in previous lessons. If you've seen the other lessons, I've added this little span called validity. This little span to specify whether it's valid or not. Validity, yes, validity, I got it, cool. And I also have added this CSS. The CSS basically finds the input types that are invalid, and the span afterwards puts an X, and this one finds the input types that are valid, and the span afterwards puts a check mark. So a pretty neat little CSS. So hey, let's jump into the new input types. So I'm going to cut and paste to save time. The first one we're going to cover is date. Now, if you look at my page here, there are no input elements. Let's go ahead and add that input for date. Okay, so I've added an element here called input, and I've added the type of date. I've set my attribute ID to my date. That's needed for like JavaScript to access the element. CSS. I've set a default value. Most input types, you can set a default value. I've set an attribute for name. That is what it will be called when you submit to the server. You might see I've got my dash date for like ID and name. Usually you want to use camel case, my date. For now, we're just going to leave it with the dash. The main thing is you want to be consistent. I have a min attribute. I can set a minimum date, and I've got a max attribute. Of course, these two elements are not required. And I've got an attribute called required. Required tells your form, hey, the user must specify a date here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one off. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you have required, then the user must input something into the blank. If it's not there, the form will not submit. So I'm going to take that off. Let's save it. Click refresh. And there we go. There's my date with the default. Now I set a min and a max, so it won't let me go less than the max. So you see me going down here. I can't go less than 4 there. I can't go less than 17 there. And if I try to type it in, let's see, will it let me type it in? I think it let me type, let's see if I can type in 2012. It lets me type it in, but I've got an X. My CSS is working. It's telling me this element is invalid. The input's invalid. So let's boost it up. Let me refresh, get it back to a valid date. Okay, so that default is actually invalid. So what did I set the min and the max to? So that's kind of a bad default. It doesn't fall in my min and my max. So I set the max to 4th 20th 2017 and the min to 4th 1st 2017. So let's change this up to 4 and 15, and let's change that to 17. Save it, click refresh, and my X went away. So now I have a valid default. So you'll notice I can click here to clear out what's been inputted. There's a little X there. Some browsers have that, some don't. This is one of the things that Chrome supports. Chrome is really great browser. I highly recommend it. It's usually ahead of the game. So you can click the up and down arrow keys. You notice that moves the day. If I want to move the year, can I do that? Yep, can do. Now it won't let me click on the year or the day or the month, rather. Won't let me click on the year or the month because, well, the min and max is always the same year and month there. I've got it set up for that. I wonder if I change that to 2018, click save, refresh. All right, and it lets me click on it. There you go. Pretty neat. Okay. Will it let me click on that? Well, in that case, it is. That was weird. Maybe a little bug there in Chrome. It seems I can click on either one of them, but it just tells me when something is invalid or not valid. I'm not sure why it did that. That's pretty weird. I'll have to investigate that later. All right, so this is a date input type. Let's move on to date time. All right, so I've added an input element, again with the type date time dash local. There used to be a type called date time that is no longer supported. You want to use date time dash local. And I have an ID again and a name. Be sure to set those. I've added a default value. Again, default value is optional. You don't have to specify a default. I went ahead and set a min and max again. So I have 6th and 14th through 6th and 7th. And I have the time 000 000. So you can have a min and a max. That does work. I'm going to go ahead and take them off for this example. Just wanted to show you that you can set them. And this is the format you would set it in. Okay. I want to save it. Click refresh. And there we go. So very similar to the date. I have a date time. And this is the user's local time. Notice I have 7:30 here. I can change it to whatever. There's an X to clear it out. When you clear it out, it actually shows you where the month and the day should go. And that might be browser specific. Another thing you can do is you can actually click down and there's our calendar. Pretty cool. So you can jump across here and choose a date. Now, if you go back up to this one for date, it also had the same thing. If I go back down to here, choose that, and there is my date element. Pretty neat. So just like the date element, there's date time. The difference is it allows you to specify a time instead of just a date, and it's your local time. All right, hey, let's jump over to month. Okay, I've got input type equals month, and I have a min and a max value. I'm going to save it. Pretty simple element here, not much to it. I've got a month of May and 2018. You can set defaults, all that good stuff. That clears it. This, of course, goes up and down. And again, it depends on the browser on which of these is supported. So what does the element show you? It shows you the month and the year. That makes you kind of wonder, shouldn't that have been a type equal to month, year, not just month? I don't know what they're thinking, but hey, it has the year. I guess you have to specify what year the month is in. I'm not sure. Why wouldn't you just have a year for that element? I don't know. Hey, it's nice though. Okay, pretty cool. It works. All right, so let's go ahead and add the final element for time. So we entered a date time local. What if I want to enter an element that just allows you to specify time? So I have an input type, I have the ID my time, the name my time. Again, I would recommend use camel case, small letter M, uppercase T, no dash. For this lesson, I just have this syntax. I have a type equals the time, and I specified a default value. The default value, of course, is optional. Save it. Click refresh. There we go. So now we have a time. So I can up the number for hours, up the number for minutes, and I can up AM or PM. And that's the same for above too. So there we go. We have the input type equal to date. We have the input type equal to date time local. Date time is no longer supported. You want to use date time local. We have the input type of month and the input type of time. Pretty neat stuff, pretty simple to use. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, please click that like button. If you didn't, click dislike. Let me know how we can improve though. Leave me a message, let me know how we can improve. Our goal is to help you and others learn how to program. We'd love any kind of input on that. If you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet and you'd like to see more of our lessons, we cover CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. We're also going to cover a lot more languages in the future. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the alert. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you for joining. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye.